All right. So I recently went to go see Obsession Theaters, and then I had some good discussions about it with people after. I went to go see with my friends. Uh, there's gonna be spoilers ahead, by the way. Just yeah, just in case anyone was, I don't know, accept rejection or be prepared to respect it. Just in general, respect the autonomy of another person. That should go without saying. I would say this movie wasn't scary. Like there was no like whoa 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 whoa. Like I didn't feel scared. I didn't especially feel tense as compared to say Exit 8 or The Backrooms, but it was sort of disturbing. Almost the idea that someone could completely ignore someone's agency with full lack of care. And I think that is more disturbing how Bear completely ignores the pleas and this idea that this is not Nikki. He knows that this is not Nikki, but he so badly wants to be with Nikki that he continuously ignores her autonomy, and he just wants her to be obsessed with him. There's one point that is brought up early in the movie. So they're in the car and Nikki is talking about how people often fail to realize the difference between romance and a love story. Now, I would say I could tell you the difference. Maybe not perfectly here, but I would say romance is simplistic. It is these snapshots, um, sort of getting this happily ever after without any of the growth. While love story, there is growth, there is change, there can be tragedy. It is two individuals changing and growing with each other. And that's a point I think is very interesting because um, I think Bear embodies the idea of a romance. He wants this happily ever after without going through the love story. He wants Nikki to be completely obsessed with him um, without having to, I guess, work for it. I don't know. But I guess that's also why it hits when he snaps the One Wish Willow and makes his wish because he doesn't even try to take her feelings into consideration. He's he feels so deeply that he will be rejected that he just takes the wish. Now, I will say that he didn't know that it would become true. He didn't know that it would actually work. But still, even after he it completely ignores her autonomy. He calls the person on the box and he asks to alter his wish instead of completely canceling it. For Nikki having had wished like and a wish obsession upon her, it feels like Bear was truly the obsessed one, and the title of obsession lies on his feigning of wanting Nikki to be in love with him without actually taking Nikki's feelings into account. Like the scene where the I'm gonna call it the entity, but I'll sort of come back to this at the end of what I think is actually going on. I don't know if he's confirmed. It's sort of just my idea, but he wants to accept her even though it wasn't her. Like when they're yelling at each other and he's saying, "Why can't you be Nikki?" And the entity yells back, "I can't be," because it is so the entity is so far from being what Nikki feels that it can't be her. And he knows that, but he likes the idea of Nikki and being with Nikki, so he would rather be with the idea of Nikki than not be with her at all. Their love is distorted. Nikki's movement, her voice often becomes distorted. Nikki has this distorted view on their relationship. And that is something that you can see through surface level because all she really knows about Bear is that he has a cat. And I was talking to someone about this. This is not necessarily my own idea, but she keeps coming back to the idea of cat because She feeds him the cat. She asks him what's the verdict on cat. She tries to create uh this appreciation like monument um altar to the cat because that's all she knows about Bear. That's all the entity can remember f- from their interactions. And that's why she keeps coming back to the cat because they truly don't know anything about each other. They haven't talked enough for that. The cat was something that she saw was important. To be completely honest, I think that they were each other's comfort people because Nikki said it herself, this with her own agency, that he was someone that she could talk to like no other. And I think this is why Bear felt some type of obsession or admiration or a feeling of liking because they were each other's comfort people. It was a person where each of them could come to talk to without having to hide something about themselves. And I think this is this is a very important type of platonic relationship. Not every relationship needs to be romantic. And I think this is something Bear needed to see, that she could be a good friend without necessarily having to be a partner. He could still find and enjoy her presence without it going beyond that. And I think some of those relationships are really important. We often miss it. Now, back to the thing from earlier. I think the thing inside her could never make Nikki love him. And that's why it wasn't Nikki. Or at least not Nikki fully. I have this idea that the it's sort of like a genie or jinn's wish system where you get a wish, you can't ask for love, you can't ask for someone to be brought back, I can't ask for more wishes, yada yada. And so when he asked for Nikki to love him, it was something that could not happen. So rather than make Nikki love him, it increased a part of Nikki that would love him. So obviously Nikki in this whole movie was switching between being trapped or being this prisoner, seemingly tortured, but having to watch everything that was happening. And I th- I think he said that they tried to stray away from the idea of a demon. So it's not a jinn, it is not a demon that is possessing her, it is her. And I think that the wish um separated the part of her that would be obsessed with um Bear and brought it out. So she was having to watch a part of her rather than the full her create action. It's like when the emotions separate into different things. So the entity is an emotion. The entity is an emotion rather than a being or a demon or such. I will say this is to fault. This is to a fault of his own. Um, he was facing the consequences through the whole movie, and Nikki or obsessed Nikki says this herself, that this is what you wanted. This is your fault. This is how it came to be. And Bear is continuously running from this idea. The idea that Nikki could have rejected him with her own agency. Even in the end, I would say he was cowardly. Another idea that is not my own, but of someone I talked to, is that rather than Bear sacrificing himself to set her free, he does it in order to sort of cleanse himself from his fear because he is so deeply scared and he wants to get rid of or get away from this fear, that rather than kill her and continue on, he decides to end himself, which in a way almost causes another problem because they almost become completely obsessed with each other, losing them both their agency. I guess at least in this moment, he is able to use his own agency, and Nikki regains hers, uh, even if it is in a deeply traumatizing scenario. All right, so to wrap that all up, I really like this movie. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite horror movies. I think that still goes to Friday the 13th, but I would say it was really well done. And their use of darkness, like with the silhouettes, I personally really liked. Yeah, I like their use of darkness. I don't know what you'd call it. I was calling it shadow work, but apparently that's something in psychology. So, but yeah. All around, I think the story was good. The ending was good. And I think it was something good to think about. It was definitely a good horror movie, although I wouldn't say it was scary. It was still unsettling. The idea itself was unsettling. I personally would give it like an 89 or 91, somewhere between there, just because the story and the camera work and the visuals, and as well as the acting. The acting was amazing, especially on the part of whoever on who played the part of Nikki. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, good movie. I recommend it. Go see it. I wouldn't say it's for me. It doesn't meet the hype, but that doesn't mean that it was a bad movie. So I guess it does meet the hype, but it's not like crazy like best horror movie I've ever seen. But it does meet the hype. It's just not for me personally the best. Anyway, peace out and bye.